guys, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be doing my December wrap up. So it is now January 2nd, so it's the second day of 2024. I hope y'all are having a good year so far. I feel like end of the year you do so many videos, and into the month you already have like a couple videos to do. So I'm actually going to be combining my wrap up and my TBR, so my December wrap up and my January TBR, because I already have so many videos that I filmed. I think I've done like 5 sit down videos. My last like 5 videos were sit downs, I'm pretty sure. So I just want to like kind of get all of the mandatory videos I feel like out of the way. And January we're going to do some reading vlogs, we're going to do some like fun videos, but these are kind of more like necessities. I don't know, I love watching these videos. I don't know if a lot of other people do, but we're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna stop talking, but okay, now we are going to be doing my Kindle reads. So these are all the books that I read on Kindle Unlimited. I read on my Kindle. So first we have The Night Shift by Annie Crown. I gave this 2 stars, and honestly, I loved this book at first. I really loved the main character. I think her name was Kennedy. She was very like similar to me. Follow me on Goodreads. Was like eating this book up. I was like doing quotes constantly, literally obsessed. And then it just got very, I don't know, the like format of the book got really weird, and so I just kind of ended up not liking it as much. I didn't give up on it. I kept reading it, but I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to. So I ended up only giving it 2 stars. Also, I think it was a Wattpad book before, which like makes sense. And I try not to rate like the Wattpad books super harsh, because I know they're not going to be the best form of literature, but sometimes they are pretty. Next we have Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. This book was so cute. Also, the main character shares my name. And it's basically about Molly and Andrew, who they both live in Chicago, but they're both from Ireland. So for the last like 10 years, they have been on the same flight for Christmas to Ireland, to like Dublin. And they become friends, and it's kind of like a now and then timeline. And then you see like this Christmas, they end up getting stranded, like all the flights get canceled because of this huge storm. And they literally have to go on like a cross global trip to try and get home. And it was so cute. It was so sweet, and it was very Christmassy and fun. And I loved Andrew, and I loved Andrew's family. Andrew's funny family. It was so funny. Next, we have Same Time Next Year by Tessa Bailey. This was a novella. I gave this 3.5. Novellas, I think I might start not rating them. I know a lot of people do that. They like don't rate novellas, because I feel like they're really short books, so you don't really get a lot out of it. And I like longer romance books, not like longish romance books, but like 300 is like my sweet spot. Under 200, I don't, it just like, I feel like it went by so fast, but the characters were so sweet. I loved the premise. It was a green card marriage, which I've never read before, and it was also a hockey romance, and then it like took place on New Year's, and then kind of like happened throughout the whole year. And it was really cute, it was really sweet, and it was fun to read, and it's on Kindle Unlimited. Next I read The Fake Outs by Stephanie Archer. This is the second book to, what was the first one? Behind the Net. I don't remember what like the series is called, but it's a hockey romance, professional hockey romance in Vancouver Storms. That's the name of the series. And this is the girl from the first book's sister, and then one of the guys who's mentioned in the first book, like the guy in the first book's best friend. And they basically do like a fake relationship, because the girl, can't remember her name, the girl, she's like an athletic trainer for their hockey team, and her ex-boyfriend is going to be on the team, and she's like super uncomfortable. And so her and the main guy, they have like a fake relationship. Their banter like kicking my feet and screaming. It was so good. It was so cute, and I loved it so much. And it was just, they were so cute. They had the best chemistry, and I loved it so much. That's what I love of hockey romances, is just cute chemistry and just like really fun banter and just like not super serious. That's why I love hockey romances. Last but not least, on my Kindle Unlimited books, I read Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. This is the second book to holiday romance. It's called like the Fitzpatrick Christmas. I think it's only a duology. I think it's just that too. But it's the family. So sorry, my family's talking. So the last book is Snowed In, and it is the brother Christian of Andrew, and then it's actually a runaway bride trope. So the girl Zoe, I think is her name. Yeah, Zoe, they come from like the same small town or small little village, and she basically ran away at the altar like 10 years ago, and then she's like super nervous to go back home for Christmas because no one really knows like the true story, and they all kind of blame her. So like ends up not being her fault. And so Christian is like, well, how about we fake date? Because he's like, I don't want to keep getting like asked when I'm gonna get a girlfriend. Like, how about we just like fake it? And it was so cute. The banter was amazing. I loved it so much. And I love like good angst, and the runaway bride trope was really good. So now we're gonna get into my physical books. So first we have A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. This is the novella in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. So this is the second to last books of the ones that are currently out. And this is literally just like a Christmas holiday special. And you also get like all the point of views that you don't normally get. The first three books in the series are all like Farrah's point of view, and then this one you get like pretty much everybody's point of view, and you get a lot of insight for the rest of the series, and it's so good. Oh my gosh, there's so many people out. Okay, next we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. Oh, I can't remember what rating I gave that book. I think I gave it 3 stars. I think 3 stars. We're just gonna say it's 3 stars. I think this was also 3 or 4 stars. This is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This is a literary fiction, and this is about this woman, Elizabeth Zott. This takes place in the 50s or 60s, I think, and she's a chemist, and it basically just like talks through her being a chemist, going all through, and the troubles with women in STEM in this time in history. I thought it was so interesting. The way that it was written was amazing. It was heartbreaking. It was heartfelt. It was heartwarming. All the heart words. It was so good, and I really enjoyed it. I also did listen to it because it's on Spotify Premium. It's one of the free like audiobooks. Okay, I don't know the specific order, so we're gonna go very much out of order. I think this is our next book. Okay, this is King of Pride by Anna Huang. I gave this 1 star. This is the second book in the Kings of Sin. I was like trying to find the name. This is the second book in the Kings of Sin series, and this was just boring. Like, I'm not gonna get much into it. The Kings of Sin series, it's by Anna Huang, and it's kind of like a spin-off of the Twisted series. Not really, they're just like kind of connected. And it's basically billionaires, upper society in New York, and this is both of the best friends from the first book, and they were just boring. Sorry, they had no chemistry. I wanted to DNF this so many times, but I made myself finish it. So next we have King of Greed. This is the last in the books that are currently out in this series. The 4th one comes out this year, and this is Alessandra and Dominic, and they're both like mentioned in the other books, and they basically are a married couple. So this is second chance marriage trope, which is also becoming one of my favorite tropes. I love this trope so much. But basically Dominic, he comes kind of from like a poor background, and he really pushes himself to be very successful, and that's what he is. He's super successful, but in that he has kind of abandoned his wife, abandoned Alessandra, abandoned their marriage, and so she's like, I'm out. This is basically I'm Losing You or You're Losing Me by Taylor Swift. So good. She's basically like, I'm out, and he's like, wait, I want you back. And then he like tries and gets his wife back, and I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people had like mixed feelings about it. I think I gave this 3 stars. So Okay. I really don't know the order that I read these books in. I think this is next. Okay, next I read Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark. This is the fourth book in the Brutal Birthright series. All these books are on Kindle Unlimited now, but I have the physical version, so I think I'm just gonna keep buying them. I don't know if I'm gonna keep reading them because the next one is one of the characters that I really, really dislike, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel. But this was crazy. This is also when I figured out the series was dark romance. I didn't know this was dark romance. I didn't know mafia and dark romance were like the same thing. I thought they were like, I don't know. I thought they were like different, and I didn't realize this was dark romance. And then I was like looking at it on Kindle Unlimited, and it was like, oh, it's dark romance. I was like, and that was so apparent in this book. It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet a little bit. It's Simone and Dante. Simone is like this kind of more like upper class. Her dad is a something, not debutante. Like the representative of a country. I don't remember. But she comes from a very like wealthy upper class family. And Dante, who all of these books are kind of like centered around these families. They're like mafia in Chicago. He is part of the mafia, and they end up getting involved with each other. Her family does not approve. It is insane. And then 10 years later, they see each other again. The first 100 pages, my mouth was like this. I was like, it was crazy. It was insane. Next I read Red Queen. Oh, I think I gave that 3 stars. 3 or 4 stars. 3 stars is like my sweet spot. I rate basically everything 3 stars. Next is Red Queen. I was extremely disappointed by this book. It just wasn't good to me. I really didn't like it. It's a dystopian fantasy book, and I read this mostly because a lot of people said Powerless was very similar to this, and I loved Powerless, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll like it. It just didn't hit for me. I just really didn't like it. Maybe it's because I read it at the wrong time, because this was definitely like 2012, 2015, like peak dystopian age, and maybe if I read it then I would have loved it, which I'm honestly surprised I didn't, because I was like a Hunger Games Divergent girly, and I'm surprised I didn't read this. But yeah, just not a fan. I think I gave it like 2 stars. Not a fan. Okay, next I read Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This book was so cute. If you just want like a cute, fun YA read, any of Lynn Painter's like YA books are so good. And this one just like adds on to it. This is a, like I said, YA, I think Enemies to Lovers. And this is, what are their names? Bailey and Charlie. Their names are so cute too. Bailey and Charlie, basically they meet on a plane like 3 years before. Both their parents are divorced, and they're doing kind of like the divorce kid migration back home. And they end up getting off on the really wrong foot, and then 3 years later they see each other again because they're working at the same like arcade, and they become friends, and the banter was just so funny, and Charlie was hilarious, and I loved it. Okay, next, like I said, I literally cannot remember what's next. We're gonna do Mary Kate Andrews' Santa Suit. This is super short, good Christmassy book. Honestly, I think I gave this 2 stars. If you just want a good Christmassy book, it's short and sweet, it's small town, gives you cute little vibes. This is perfect. It's just about this newly divorced woman named Ivy. She moves to a like farming community in outside Atlanta, and she ends up buying this like rundown farmhouse, and she finds a Santa suit and Christmas magic, and it's really good. I liked it. I think I gave it like 2 stars just because it's like shorter. Next I read The Christmas Orphans Club. This I had some mixed opinions about. I liked, but it was giving more like literary fiction than romance. I think it was a romance book. I found it in the romance section at Target. I don't know. But this is giving very much like literary fiction, and it almost reminded me of Happy Place, just like the way that they were all kind of like, it's about a friend group and they were all kind of like discovering how they have changed. Basically it's about this friend group who lives in New York. Most of them, either their family lives far away or family is like dead, and they just don't have anywhere to go for Christmas, so they spend Christmas together, and then they're just kind of like growing up and growing apart, and they're kind of like learning boundaries with each other is kind of the premise of the book. And I gave this 3 stars. I liked it, but there were some issues with it. Next, I read Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I also listened to this on Spotify too, because it is on Spotify Unlimited, or Spotify Premium audiobooks, and I so enjoyed this book. If you are a girly in your early 20s or just in your 20s, this book is a book you need to read. This talked about friendship, talked about love, talked about relationships, talked about the awkward stages of your 20s, which I'm 22, so I feel like I'm getting into those awkward stages, and just the growing pains and just the changes. And this was such a funny book, but it was also just like super quirky, and it's just like about her life living in London and being a writer and being in her 20s and trying to just kind of like figure out what the fuck she's doing. This was a memoir, and I don't rate memoirs, so loved it though. Okay, next I reread The Addicted to You. I don't think I'm gonna reread the Addicted series. I was thinking about it, but I don't think so. I think I am gonna reread Hot House Flower, because that's on my TBR for 2024, but I think that's the only Addicted Calorie Sister book I'm gonna reread, and that's just because that's one of my favorite books and I want to get back into that universe. But I annotated, tabbed all of Shebang. This is like a 4 stars for me. I think this book definitely upped from the original. I was not a huge fan of this book, but once you read the whole series and you fall in love with the characters, you just have a newfound appreciation for this book, because this is just the beginning and it shows you like all of their issues. They're extremely toxic, and it just, all of their problems, and it's just kind of like, okay, like, and you already know what's gonna happen and how they're gonna change. You already know their happy ending, and so kind of like starting at their very bad beginning. And then we have Ricochet. I forgot to cut my tabs, but I will cut them. This is honestly one of my favorite books in the series, just because I feel like this really starts showing Lily's character development and a lot of the other characters, and I really love this book a lot too, so I think I gave it 3.5 or 4, something like that. Next, I read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was really good. This is basically about Hannah, and she is very much like nomad. I think she's 29. She's very much like nomad, doesn't really know direction of her life, and she decides to move back to LA, where she like kind of grew up, and she has an incident. So one night something happens, and you kind of get like 2 diverging plot lines of like what would have happened in each storyline, and it's stories of like newfound beginnings, finding who you are, and then like the whole premise is kind of like soulmates and like finding your person. I thought it was so cool because even though it's 2 diverging plot lines, the characters from each plot line still kind of like show up, but they show up in different ways. And I thought that was really cool, and I honestly love books and movies that do this. I think it's also Look Both Ways is the movie that does this, and I loved that movie. It's with Lily Reinhart. It's on Netflix, and so I really enjoyed this too. I think I gave it like 3 stars. Y'all, we finally finished it. A Court of Silver Flames. I started this on December 3rd and finally finished it like December 29th or something. She's a hefty boy. Yeah, I have so many mixed feelings about this book, because when I started this book, I was fully in my Nesta hate club. Like, I was like, I don't like her. Like, I don't want to read this book. I'm only reading it because I want to finish out this series, and I want to read the rest of the books, and I can't just skip. Like, this is like a huge book. Like, you can't skip this in the series. So I was like, I have to read it. I'm just gonna get through it. I'm gonna like bite my teeth and just get through it. And I honestly kind of found a newfound appreciation for her. I still am not a huge Nesta fan. Like, I'm not going to be a huge fan of her. But I started hating Amryn more than her in this book, low-key. Sorry. But I love the story of her kind of becoming stronger and finding her voice and finding her power. So I really loved that. And this is like the last book that's currently out of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. So now I can start with Throne and Glass in January. Okay, so now we are going to get into my TBR of January. I have one more book, but I'm currently reading it, so it's on my bedside table. But we're just gonna go through all the other ones. So first we have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is a retelling of Peter Pan. This is like the Never After series, and it's dark romance. The villain gets the girl, so it's James Hook, Peter Pan, and then Wendy's like Peter Pan's younger daughter, and I think it's age difference. Obviously it's dark romance, so it's gonna be a little much. And then Cruel Prince. I want to read this series. I bought this I think in like July, like the box set, and I just didn't read it, and I really want to finish it. I really want to read it. There's so many like differing opinions about this series. I feel like some people hate it, some people love it, and I want to get the hype. So The Cruel Prince. Done and Dusted. I feel like this became such a super popular book in 2023. I don't really know why I never picked it up, but I never did. So we're gonna pick it up. We're gonna read it. We're starting Assassin's Blade, or we're starting Third Glass, and I'm gonna start with the Assassin's Blade because honestly, Sarah Caroli did it. Not me being like, Sarah Caroli did it, so I'm gonna do anything Sarah Caroli does. But she did say that it was like easier for her, and I feel like I have a lot of issues connecting with plot lines in fantasy books. Like honestly, even A Court of Thorns and Roses, I was so confused by all the like plot lines, the story, like fantasy, everything. So I think maybe this will help like ease into it a little bit. It's 5 different novellas, and it kind of gives you the background of the main character, who's Selena, and that's her name. But it's the assassin and the pirate lord, the assassin and the healer, the assassin in the desert, the assassin in the underworld, and the assassin in the empire. So it's like 5 different little novellas. So we're gonna start this series. Next, one of a big goal of 2024 is reading more classics. So we have Persuasion. This book is only like, it's not even 200 pages. So I think I could get into it, and it's a short little, also it's so cute. I got this at Half Price Books. But yeah, so that's on it. And then, oh no, second to last, because I have the book that I don't have over here, but I'm reading it right now. We have Undercover Bromance. I read the Bromance book club in November and honestly just ate it up. So this is on here kind of to be like a palate cleanser, possibly, just to be like when I'm a little bit of a slump and pull this book out and read it. And I'm really excited because I loved the first one. And then the last book is Ruthless Vows, which is the like ending of the duology of Letters Enchantment, which Divine Rivals is the first book of that series. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you so much, and thank you for watching, and let's have a great 2024. Bye.